Reb MEIR TENNEBAUM family. Liluy nishmas his grandmother, Dabra Bas Reb Dovid Allah Shalom.
Dabra.
It's Dabra?
Dabra, yeah.
Dabra. And today's broadcast, again, it's DYLive Nissan, is also being sponsored by Reb Bensy Bench. Thank you very much, Bensy, even though we can't see your face or hear you because you're muted, but we want to say thank you very much. And he's sponsoring it as a refuah shalema from MELECH Yehuda ben Chaya, who's his uncle, and Chaim Yaakov ben Dina, who's his brother-in-law's father. And it's also the 54th yahrzeit of his grandfather, David Aryeh ben Yosef Simon, Allah Shalom, who's going to be yahrzeit today. He was born on the same date as the Alter Rebbe. He was nifter on the same day that the Alter Rebbe was born.
And no, this Rebbe.
He said the Alter Rebbe.
No. This Rebbe's birthday. Yeah.
Well, this Rebbe actually has now become the Alter Rebbe.
Yeah.
He got promoted. And it's also the yahrzeit of the Ramban, the Heilige Ramban.
Yes.
It's his yahrzeit today. And I just saw also over one little tiny thing that I heard from the Ramban. I was once, I don't know if it's in fashion to say this, but I was once at a hotel for Shabbos. Don't shoot me. And I wasn't there. I wasn't paying. Don't worry, I wasn't paying. My cousin made a bar mitzvah, and his bar mitzvah was over Shavuos, so he took us all to a hotel for Shavuos. And by the hotel was a Rabbi Rakowski from Muncie, from Or Shemeach, and he spoke Shavuos night. So he said over it that the Ramban says that what's unique about our religion, unique over all other religions, is all the other religions are based on the words that a prophet said, either Muhammad or Yashka, whatever it is. No one heard it directly. Jews always cut out the middleman. Our grandfathers themselves stood by Har Sinai and heard the Aseret Dibros directly from Har Sinai. Moshe didn't tell them about God. They had the direct face-to-face encounter with God, and they said it over from generation to generation. So what's unique about our Amunah is real. It's real. We saw it without any middleman. That's what he once quoted from the Ramban. Okay, with that, we can get started on today's daf, which is a beautiful Agudah to daf. I'm hoping maybe if Moshe Weinberg got a teretz to do his cash on film.
On mezuzah.
About mezuzah.
You know
sorry,
what?
there I go again.
Yeah, yes, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's such a horrible question, and I'm such an aminoritz. No one talks about it because it's a davar pashut that is not even a chashash to use mezuzah. That's what I'm thinking.
No, to me it makes sense like a good question. Chaim, where did you just move to?
No, I went down to.
You went down to the lake?
Motti's Lake, yeah.
I went to Motti's Lake. Okay, Motti, I hope you see the items still enjoying Victoria Lakes, Baruch Hashem. Gewaltig. Okay, so let's see where we're holding.
Not just the memory.
Yeah, we should get there soon. You could advertise it's a coronavirus free zone.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yep.
Okay, let me take him help over here. Zok Tehillah Gemara. Zok Tehillah Mishnah. It says Hamachabe Esaner, one who puts out a fire, puts out a candle, a lamp, and that's the issue of kivo. It's a malacha deraisa. Hamachabe Esaner. Make sure I'm centered properly. Okay. Hamachabe Esaner. Mipnei shehu misyori mipnei nachem. He's afraid of goyim, and Rashi says mipnei nachem. Going parsim shahoy lehem yoyim chag she'ein manichin or ela bebeis avoid the shalem. They only allowed their lights. They didn't allow anybody to have lights. So you had a ner lit, let's say Friday night, and you want to put it out because you're afraid you're going to get caught. Or they listen. You know there's robbers, there's hoodlums on the street, and you don't want them to attack you, so you put out a light. They shouldn't know you're there. Or if you're in some type of depression and somehow when it's dark it makes you feel better. Or or so that a choila in the room can sleep undisturbed and not be woken up by the light. Potter, that person is potter. However, kechas al haner, if you're doing it because you want to save oil, you want to save the ner, it's getting very hot, and you're afraid that the ner itself will break, the cheres will break. Or kechas al hashemen, you want to save the oil. or kichas ala psila, or you want to save the wick. Then chayiv. Then you're going to be chayiv. Reb Yosy potter b'chulim. Reb Yosy holds in all these cases you're potter chutz min psila, except for the psila b'tnei shu oisel pecha. So this Mishnah is really discussing the concept of malacha shein tzricha legufa, which is also the same machlokes that Reb Shimon and Reb Yehuda argue about. So in all these reasons, you're putting out the flame not for the constructive malacha that putting out a flame does. The only constructive malacha that putting out a flame accomplishes is creating a pecham. It creates a wick and a coil, a coal wick, a wick that's easy to light. That's the only constructive purpose that it has. Everything else is a malacha she'ein tzricha lerufa.
Yes,
What's
sorry.
Go ahead, David.
No, go ahead.
So I'm just trying to say, it's why would if you're saving it for the lamp, or you're saving it for the, why would that be okay in the first place? I'm not clear with that.
Well, here it says chayiv.
Not okay. It's not okay.
Reb Yosy, I'm sorry, for Reb Yosy. According to Reb Yosy.
Because it's a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. Because all of these reasons that you're doing it is not the constructive purpose that you normally put out a flame for. You put out a flame, you're primarily trying to build a pecham, a glowing wick that you can easily reuse, and that's the only constructive. According to Reb Yosy, that's the only constructive malacha.
I mean that you're actually focusing on the flame itself and nothing to do with anything else around.
No, the kibui is actually improving.
Like
quality
we
of that
were
wick.
talking about on the other thing, but lighting the candles before so she light easier later. Was that what you're saying?
I think that's what it means. When you light it before, it makes it easier to light. Let's see how the article touches the word pecham. It makes the wick into a charcoal. So what does that mean? It's an unsinged wick, so it singes it, so it makes it easier to light. So that's the only thing that Reb Yosy considers a malacha tzricha legufa, because the kibui is actually accomplishing something good. It's not just preventing something from being depleted, which Reb Yosy does not consider to be a malacha tzricha legufa.
So he's putter from a carbon, but this is a putter of a lesser situation?
I assume it would be putter alav. Normally, when it says putter, it attaches putter of a lesser. Right.
Yossi?
Yes.
So the case of the listim, the
According
robbers.
to Dovid, you should say lo yichabe.
In the case of the listim, wouldn't the robbers prefer the light to be out? Most robbers would prefer it to be dark.
No,
as
he's
opposed
trying to
light.
go
And
silent so they won't detect him.
No,
He's
but it's the
trying to
opposite.
show they won't
What I'm
detect
saying, it's usually the opposite. The robbers would prefer it to be dark. So he's actually attracting the robbers by
So
putting
let me
out
paint
the
the
light.
scenario for you. You're camping out the middle of the desert, not on the street. You're middle of the wilderness, and there's a band of robbers walking by. They don't have a light. There's no way they can detect you. So if you go silent and dark, they won't detect you.
But if you're in your house, then it's better.
Wasn't there a Gemara with one of the
Rabbi Akiva.
Rabbi
with
Akiva.
Oh, the
Okay, but
the rescue.
that's in the forest. But if you're in your house,
Yeah, so
it's better
maybe
to
he
have
was in the
light on.
forest there. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
this case was that he was in the forest.
All right.
It was in the case where light would cause him problems.
Okay.
Okay. He had a big menorah, he had a big Magen David on his roof that he wanted to erase. Okay. Now it's very interesting. The Vilna Gaon asks a very simple question. It says kichas al haner, kichas al hashemen. Why didn't it say lahatzel haner or imchas al haner? Because it was kichas with the chaf adimyon. Zok the Vilna Gaon, you think that you're in control of your parnasa? You think by putting out the lamp on Shabbos, that's going to save you? No. You leave the lamp burning and your stocks will go up and you'll be okay. Don't think you'll be aibuchukum. So it's kichas. It's only because he thinks it's going to help him, but it's not really going to help him.
Brings back the old question of doing your shtadlus. How much shtadlus do you have to do?
That's right. So I guess putting out on there on Shabbos doesn't quite qualify. The other kasha that they ask.
What about the first three cases? The Bnei Ruach Ra, Bnei Listim, Tzal Bazach.
He was talking about pernosa zachem. The Vilna was talking about kechas alanek.
Everything else is not.
I don't know. It's a vertical. I don't know if you can hold it to the letter of the law, but it's an interesting thought. Now the other question is: it seems like the first items are pikuach nefesh. You serve the yochim, they listen, they ruach ra. So if the question of a serious nefesh, if it's a question of Mesiris Nefesh, then it's not potter of a losser. It should be l'chatchila. It should be mutter. So he brings down from Maseber Chodesh Ha'aviv that this is not really a case of Pekuach Nefesh. It's Mepnei Shehu Misyari. It doesn't say Mepnei Nachrim. It's Mepnei Shehu Misyari. Really, it wasn't technically a real danger. He was very nervous, so he put out his light. And those wouldn't have qualified as Pekuach Nefesh. It's just because this guy was panicked. Okay, let's see what the Gemara says right here. The next Gemara is really, really beautiful.
Yossi Zalman,
Yes.
only the beginning of the Mishnah does it say Mipnei Shehu Misyore. The Misyore goes on the other ones as well? Because it doesn't say Mipnei Misyore Min Alistim. So you're saying that one Misyore goes on the other ones?
I guess the Mipnei Shehu Misyore is also referring to the Mipnei Nichrim, Mipnei Nachrim, Mipnei Listim, and Mipnei Ruach Ra, and Mipnei Chodesh. Yeah, I guess that's how the Chodesh Aviv must be learning. Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Okay, so Moti's trying to outdo you, Chaim Tzvi, and he just went to the Kaisel. But he's not there. It looks like he's afraid to get caught there. He doesn't want to get fined for overcrowding. Zok Tehillah Gemara. Mida Katani Seifa Chayiv. It says in the Seifa, you'll be Chayiv by the Kachas Alaner. Shema Mina, that tells us that Rabbi Yehuda, that actually tells us that it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the Malacha Shein and Shricha L'Guf is going to be Chayiv. Well, if a Malacha Shein Shricha L'Guf is Chayiv, let's analyze the Reisha. Let's analyze the Reisha that where it says that you're potter. The Maya Sikta. Exactly what are we talking about? If the chayla, the other cases you could say is a sakana, but if the case of the chayla, if it's speaking where it's a chayla sheyesh b'sakana, well then mutter miboyle. It shouldn't say that you're potter if you do it. It should say you're mutter. It's 100% mutter to do the chatchila, because by a chayla sheyesh b'sakana, you have to do whatever it takes to keep that person safe. And if it's a chayla she'en b'sakana, chayiv chatas miboyle. Where do you have the potter of a losser? Either it's a malacha, either it's a proper malacha, like according to Rabbi Yehuda, malacha shenshuv was a proper malacha, and you weren't allowed to do it because it was a chayla she'en b'sakana, or it was a chayla sheyesh b'sakana. So how in the world could you have a case where it would be potter? It's speaking about a chayla sheyesh b'sakana. Uvidinhu the list mutter, and really the case of the ratio, it should have said it's a mutter lechatchila because it's a chayla sheyesh b'sakana. But the idea the boy the seifa chayiv, since the seifa used the psak halacha of chayiv, because in the seifa it was mamash deraisa, tananami reisha potter. The balanced word to chayiv is potter, but really, in fact, it's not just potter; it's mutter as well. V'hada tani Reb Yosy in b'shvil achola sheishan lo yichber. Reb Yosy clearly doesn't learn like we're learning, because he says in b'shvil achola sheishan lo yichber, you may not do it, which is Dovid's language, right? Then kava potter, and if you did it, you're potter avalosser. So how do you have a case of potter avalosser? If it's a chayla sheish b'sakana, it's mutter, you're even chayiv to do it, and if it's a chayla she'en b'sakana, you're chayiv. So the Gemara, in this case where it's potter avalosser, is a hu b'chayla she'en b'sakana. Reb Shimoni, that's going to hold Reb Shimon, who holds the malacha she'en shricha l'guf is potter. But according to our Mishnah, which we say is following the shita of Reb Yehuda, a malacha she'en shricha l'gufa would be chayiv. Shol she'elazu la'elam Rav Tanchum de Minovi. Navi had a cousin. His name was Tanchum. And this shaila was asked to Rav Tanchum from the city of Novi. But what was the shaila that was proposed to him? Now, it doesn't seem like this was a halacha l'maisa shaila asked by somebody who was actually dealing with that situation, and we'll see why in a minute. It seems like there was a Shabbos Agudah Drush on Zoom, and there were men and ladies, and the whole community was watching. And this shaila came up, and Rav Tanchum wanted to use it as a springboard to teach everybody something. And the shaila that was asked was Ma'u lichbaitz utzina denura mekama be'isha b'shabbata. What is the halacha regarding putting out a lamp in order to help a chayla be'isha, someone who's in a bad state, on Shabbos? Now, Pasach v'Amar. And he got started with a blot and a half. Before he answered this question, we're going to see that Reb Tanchum got into an omid and a half of Agudah before he addressed the question. So the question is, why did he divert on this long tangent when somebody asked him a direct question? So a lot of the Rishonim learn that it was like a Shabbos Hagadol drasha, and he wanted an opportunity to be mechazek to Olam, to tell him a Dvar Torah. However, he brings down very nicely from the Vilna Gaon. I believe it's the Vilna Gaon. That's right. It was the Vilna Gaon, and says the following. Read down from the Vilna Gaon. It says, Hilchas Pikuch Nefesh is something everybody needs to know. It's a very important thing because these are split-second decisions that you can't start clearing and kraching because in the meantime this person's going to die. So you have to know your stuff. And Rav Tanchum saw that not everybody in his community knew this sugya well. V'haraya, someone's asking him a question that he felt was relatively basic that people should have known the answer to. And he felt that he failed as a leader to make sure that everybody knows his halachas. And because of that, he wanted to hit home really, really hard and really get everybody's attention. So he went into a whole diversion to get people's attention so that he could make sure that they'll be listening carefully and absorb his answer so that from here on in, he'll correct that problem with the community not knowing enough about the halachas of Pikuch Nefesh. There's another very important question on the Mishnah that I forgot to mention that the Ralbag asks. He asks a very simple question. Why is it that you'd have to put out the fire, which is a kibui, if you have a chayla in the room who cannot tolerate light, take the candle out, take the lamp out. That might be an issue of muksa, but at least you're not doing a deraisa. Beautiful kasha the Ralbag asks. So the Ralbag deduces from this kasha a massive, massive chiddush that's the subject of a big machlokes rishonim. He deduces from there that when you have a heter because of a chayla to do a malach on Shabbos, let's analyze precisely what it is that this chayla needs. This chayla needs the light to go away. It needs the light to be put out. Now, the direct way, the most direct way to do what this chayla needs is to extinguish the flame. Yes, there's indirect ways you could do it by removing the flame. The heter of doing a malacha for a chayla is doing the most direct malacha to solve this problem. So it's better halachically to be over a deraisa because of this chayla than it is to move the lamp, which is a derbanan, because that's not the most direct way to solve the chayla's problem. The Mishnah MELECH vehemently opposes this because how could you possibly say that you're better off doing a deraisa than a derbanan? He says the reason why the Mishnah doesn't just suggest that you take it out of the room is because that could take a little longer. To blow the flame, you go poof, and it's gone, it's over. But to carry it out of the room, that takes more time, and in that time you're creating, or you're continuing, you're maintaining the discomfort of the chayla, and that's why the suggested option here is to put it out, because that would cause problems. And the Rambam actually passes halacha l'maisa.
Yes, sorry, but by blowing it out, let's say the chayla is going to need it again, so you're creating a situation where we have to relight it.
I hear, but right now that's what he needs. And if later on the sakana requires that you light it, then you light it. That's what a chayla shishma sakana is. No questions asked. The other question is the Rambam actually passes halacha l'maisa when you are doing a malacha for a chayla, you should try to mitigate it to do the least amount. So according to the Rambam, it makes sense.
How is it a deraisa, Yossi?
Kibui?
I understand. It's a malacha shein tzrich.
Oh, you're right. According to Reb Yehuda, it's a deraisa. According to Reb Shimon, it would not be. In fact, it's correct. I stand corrected.
Why is it according to Reb Yehuda?
Because Reb Yehuda holds that the malacha shein tzrich l'guf is also.
Oh.
Although it's not a deraisa, I don't think he says. Oh, he does say chayiv. Yeah, that's chayiv. So Reb Yehuda holds that malacha shein tzrich l'guf is going to be chayiv. We actually were talking about it last night.
Why would he be chayiv a carbon if he did it on purpose?
No, if you did it b'shogi, he'd be chayiv a carbon. If he did it on purpose, he's chayiv chorus.
But he blew it out on purpose. So what's?
No, if he didn't know that it's also to blow it out under these circumstances, that would be shogeg.
No, but he knew it was usher. But he did it.
Well, maybe he thought that because of a chayla,
because
you're allowed to do it.
Pikuch nefesh, he did it.
Right. So that's also a shogeg. If he erred in that pikuch nefesh, that's also a shogeg. He thought under these circumstances it was mutter, and in fact it was also.
No, he knew it was usher, but it was a question of pikuch nefesh.
He knew that normally on Shabbos it's usher to do, but he also thought that because of his perception that this was pikuach nefesh, he was allowed to blow it out.
And he was. Why would? And
Well,
he
if he
was
was allowed to blow it out, according to those shittas, that he's allowed to blow it out in a chanami. But if he was not allowed to blow it out, at worst it would be a shagi.
Not following here. Look,
He thought he was allowed to blow it
you
out.
can
but he
if
wasn't.
it's bekuach nefesh, you can do anything.
Yeah, but the pikuach nefesh is not a shayla.
Right?
We're talking about a chayla she'ein bo sakana. So a chayla she'ein bo sakana,
Oh,
it's not.
ain't very second.
If it was ein bo sakana and he blew it out, then he
Okay.
and it was shagi, it would be a chiv chatas.
Okay.
Now the Ra'ah says that by every chayla she'ein bo sakana, you don't sit and declare what is this? Am I allowed to do it? I'm not allowed to do it. You first do, and then you think, because the saving the chayla trumps everything. Okay, so now let's look at the beautiful question that Reb Tamchon asked his kehillah. He asked as follows: An Shlomo, your Shlomo Melech, An Chachmascha, where is your wisdom that you learned from others? And An Suchlus Nusach, where is your wisdom where you took what you learned and you built other knowledge out of it? Loi Dayich Shidvarecha Soisin Divrei David Avicha. It's bad enough that words that you've said contradict what your father said. Elo Shidvarecha Soisim Zesha. Your own words contradict themselves. Now that would get everybody's attention. David Avicha Amar, David, your father said, Loya Mesim Haluka. We're yearning to say that the Tzibur very soon, and how Mesim can no longer praise the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Atamrit, yet you said in Koheles that we also miss when the why am I having a mental block? Who names Koheles?
Bullman.
Right, Bullman, Heshi. We miss Heshi's Koheles. We don't learn Koheles on Pesach, right? We learn that on Sukkot.
Yes, Shabbos only.
So hopefully we'll be able to hear that. And you, Shlomo Melech, to the Koheles, V'shabech Haniyas HaMesim, Shekfar Mesim. So David HaMelech said it's not good to be a Mesim. You can't be Mahalakah anymore. Yet you're saying Mesim are better. And then you yourself contradicted yourself. A live dog, which is an inferior animal to a lion, is better than a dead lion. So you see, death is not good. So how could you explain your contradictions and your contradictions with your father? So Reb Tacham says, I'll tell you the answer. Loi kasher. This is what he meant. A person should be a orangutan in Torah and mitzvahs while he's alive. Once he dies, he's bottled from Torah and mitzvahs. He can no longer do mitzvahs anymore, and he can no longer, he can no longer accumulate chusim. So David HaMelech was trying to impart a message that while you're alive, chaparai the mitzvahs. The Ein La Kodesh Baruch Hu Shevach by the Rebbe doesn't have a shevach from his mitzvahs that he does. Behind Amar Reb Yochanan, that's what Reb Yochanan said, that Reb Mendel actually quoted this same pasuk, "My dichsiv ba mesim chapshi, mesim are free, kivin shemeis adam nase chapshi min haTorah u'min mitzvahs." Once someone dies, he's free from Torah and free from mitzvahs. With the Kamar Shlomo, and
Is that out of oinus? Is that out of oinus?
Of course, it's he's not. He's dead. How can he do mitzvahs anymore? He doesn't have a go.
No, that's a technicality. Why weren't you at shear?
Oh, that's what Mendel said. You see, I came late to the party, so I missed it. You're saying good. So he said that mace is only cannot the mitzvah. It's called an oinus.
No, I'm asking it. I'm not quoting from that. I'm saying to you that they could be, but they can't. Right? It's not that all of a sudden
afraid Hashem will tell me.
religion.
If Hashem will tell me you're claiming you can't do mitzvah because you're an oinus, when you were alive, you didn't do that either. So we have to make sure to mitigate that potential kind of.
Right.
What's pshat of that? So there's a story behind it. When Klal Yisrael did their various in the Midbar, whether it was by the Egel, whether it was by the Meraglim, whether it was by the Mesodim, Amad Moshe lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe got up in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Amar, he said, Kama tfilas v'zachnun lefonav. He davened and davened and davened. V'lo nena. But Hashem didn't listen to Moshe, who was alive. Amar, the moment he mentioned, oh, and this is actually by the Egel, so I take back what I said. When he invoked the power of the Avos HaKadoshim, Miyad Nena. That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him and was Moichel Klal Yisrael, or at least stopped the Magefa. Shlomo says it's not right what Shlomo said. Clearly, they can be poilos. So like Rav Mendel said this morning, they could still daven. They still definitely have influence on behalf of us up there, although they can no longer do mitzvahs. But there are advantages. There are advantages. That's one answer they said. Dabra.
You know what? Sorry, Yossi. Just the question back to, I think Dave was asking about tefillas later. See, now they're davening because we're still here and Mashiach hasn't come yet, so there's a reason for them for tefillas. But after Mashiach, is there a reason still for tefillas? Like all these examples are still before Mashiach.
Don't we have all the same needs?
I don't know. Who knows what our needs will be in the time of Mashiach? I have no idea.
I assume if there'll be needs, there'll be tefillah.
Okay.
Hashem wouldn't box us in that way. Give us needs and not give us.
I'm just saying all these rayas are before Mashiach, so there's a reason for a mace to still, whoever's up in Shemayim, to still daven for us because we haven't reached our potential yet, or whatever our tzaros is. But anyway,
the normal custom of the world is sar bosher v'dam goyzer gzeira. If because of SARS, the government is goyzer gzeira that everyone should stay in isolation. Suffolk Makayim Noisa, Suffolk in Makayim Noisa. We're not so sure that everyone's going to maintain their social distancing. And even if the gzeira of a certain ruler, even if it does hold and people do follow it, so while he's alive, they'll listen to that gzeira. But the Moshe in the Kai Moshe, they're definitely not going to listen to him after he dies. He loses his potency. He loses his power. Moshe Rabbeinu gozer kama gzeiros. The tikkun kama tekanos. Moshe made many gzeiros and many tekanos. And Rashi actually gives us an example of what those gzeiros are. So let's just have a look. See over here. The tikkun kama tekanos. Ki ahid etani v'megillah. Moshe tikkun lahem liyisrael. She shoylim v'darshin b'nyan shel yom. Moshe Rabbeinu was masakin that we're supposed to discuss the Indian of the day. Like now we're supposed to be discussing Hilchos Pesach. The Kayam Hashem L'Olam, we're still doing that today. The Kayam Hashem L'Olam L'Olam L'Olam. So V'lo Yafa Amar Shleima V'Shabeich Ani Yisem Mason. Does it not make sense to be Meshameich Mason? Because certain Mason Tzadikim, their Gezeres end up staying and lasting for a long time. So Rashi says over here, the people who died earlier are more powerful than those that are alive today. How do you know that? So today's greatest rulers, not all of the things they say do people follow, do people comply with. But Moshe Rabbeinu, who lived thousands of years ago, were still complying with all of his gzeros. David HaMelech asked Hashem to do an ois with him. David HaMelech did the Aveira with Bathsheba, and he wanted Hashem to acknowledge that he was forgiven. My enemies who are still taunting me with my Aveiras should see that you are Meichel me, and that will embarrass them because they'll see that their taunting is unjustified. Amar David Ufnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, Mechayli al Oisi Oven, be Meichel me for that terrible Aveira of Bathsheba. Amar Loi, Machalach, I'm Meichel you, no problem. Amar Loi, it's not enough that you Meichel me. I want the head of the FBI to get up and say that he's not investigating Trump. Amar Loi, Asay mi Ois B'chayai. I want in my life, I want you to make ois so people should know that I was exonerated. Amar Lo, he told him, B'chayecha eini modia. In your lifetime, I'm never going to publicize that I was moichel you and that your avera is water under the bridge. But v'chay shloime bincha, in the life of Shlomo HaMelech, your son, Ani Moideya, I'm promising you that I'm going to make sure everybody finds out that I was Moichi. Kishabon Shlomo es Beis HaMikdash, when Shlomo HaMelech built the Beis HaMikdash, Bikesh lahachnis oren levish kodesh HaKadosh. And we know the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't let David HaMelech build the Beis HaMikdash, even though he was very royal for it, was since he fought many bloody wars, the Rebbeinu Shalom didn't want the Beis HaMikdash to be built by somebody who was in the war, who was in battle, who killed people. He only wanted them to be built by Shlomo HaMelech, who was zoichet to have peace during his entire reign. However, the anti-Trumpers, the anti-Daviders, the anti-David HaMelechers, their claim was, no, the reason why David HaMelech couldn't build the Beis HaMikdash is because he's a Balaveir, and Hashem wasn't Moichel. So he wanted to be exonerated by that. That's what his issue was. And Rashi is going to tell us his main detractors, the main Nancy Pelosi's and the Schumers and the pencil head, I forget the guy's name, Schiff, and the Schiffs, they were Shimi ben Gera and the family of Shaul HaMelech, who David HaMelech replaced. So they were the people who were saying, he's a no goodnik. So what happened was Shlomo HaMelech wanted to bring the Oren into the Beis Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Medrash says, I think it's the Archcrow brings it down, is that it wasn't some type of magic that Dovku Sha'orim. It was because the opening of the Heichal was 10 amos wide. And Shlomo HaMelech miscalculated, and he built the Aron Kodesh 10 amos wide, which then needed people on either side to carry it. So it was Dovku Sha'orim, meaning it was too big. He didn't measure properly. It was poor planning, and now he had a pickle because he couldn't get the Aron in. That would be very humiliating.
You're saying Shlomo HaMelech wasn't as smart as
Betzalel?
as made out to be? Huh?
I don't know. Look at the Medrash in number 25 of the Arshkel. I'm just going to read it. The Medrash cites this incident as follows. Shlomo made an Aron 10 amos wide, and the door of the Beis HaMikdash is only 10 amos wide. So the Aron couldn't fit through it. Shlomo was very, very embarrassed. So what did he do when he became embarrassed? He took out a Tehillim. Because he had a massive problem on his hands. And it said the reason why the Rebbeinu caused it, that Shlomo should fall into this embarrassing situation, is because Hashem wanted to set the stage to be able to publicly acknowledge the Mechila of David HaMelech. So Shlomo HaMelech said, you know what, it's so out of character of me, a smart guy like me, to make such a bad calculation, such a mistake. But there was a reason for it. And people, I'm sure that's why it stuck out, so people noticed it. And through that, Hashem was able to publicize the Mechila to David HaMelech. So Amar Shlomo, Etzim Varba Renana, she said 24 Renana. She said to Shaila Rashi, if it's the 24 Kapitach Tehillim leading up to the David Mizmor, or if it's some other Renanas that were said, the Gemara discusses it in another Gemara. V'loi Nena, and he wasn't answered. Pashach of Omar, he said, Se'u Sha'arim Rasheichem V'hinasu Pischei Olam. Open up the doors. Why? V'yavai Melech HaKavod, so the great king should come in. People thought that he was talking about himself. I'm the great king who wants to enter. Ratu Basrei Lemivlei. They wanted to they made a run at him to swallow him up, to protest the chutzpah that he's calling himself a Melech HaKavod in front of the Beis HaMikdash. Amr, they said, Mi uza Melech HaKavod. Who is this guy? Amr Liluy says, no, I don't mean me. Hashem Izus the Gibor, that's who I'm referring to. Chazav Amr, but the door still didn't open. Chazav Amr, Salush Amr, Sheichem Usu Pischei Olam V'yavei Melech HaKavod. And then he right away filled in, Mi uza Melech HaKavod, Hashem Tzavakos, Hu Melech HaKavod Tzelo, V'loi Nena. It still didn't work. But when he continued to say the next thing, Kivin Shamar, Hashem Elokim, Al Toshev Pnei Mishichecha, Zochra Lachaste David Avdecha, he invoked the name of his father David, Miyad Nena. At that moment, the doors opened. So that was a clear sign that nobody had the koyach to get the Beis HaMikdash to open, to accept the Aron Kodesh more than David HaMelech himself. V'oisa Shah Nebchu Pnei Kol Soinei David. That's when all of the anti-Trumpers looked really bad and looked really embarrassed because they were proven wrong in front of everybody. It was a major tumult.
Chaim Tzvi has a question.
I'd like to be Melamed Schus a little bit on Shlomo HaMelech. One is there's a famous Chazal that says that the Aron HaKodesh did not take up any space. And Shlomo HaMelech surely knew that Oren, that Chazal. So he probably felt that it can get in even if it was 10 amas wider than the opening because it didn't take up any physical space. It's possible that only after he invoked the schus of his father that the Oren didn't take any space and the Oren was allowed in. And that's how it actually was allowed in because it went back to that or it gained that miraculous ability.
So you wanted the mechanism with which the nest was made was that the Rebbe Shalom gave the Oren that schus, that koich again, that it didn't take up any space.
Possibly, these are just things that I'm thinking about.
Very nice.
However, I really don't know how Shlomo HaMelech referred to his father, his dad, by his first name.
When he said Zachar lechaste David Avdecha.
Yeah, I don't think what's his name. I don't think Dovid would call his father. Remember Moshe, my father.
He's shy.
No, I'm talking about our Dovid, or maybe Yosef Zalman. He wouldn't say, "Remember Tzutzi, my dad."
But if he said Tehillim, it says in there Mizmar LeDavid. So what was he going to say? Mizmar LaAvi?
No, but he didn't quote the what's his name. Those words of Shlomo HaMelech were his own words, were they not?
Let's see the word is.
No, he was quoting.
Well, he's maybe paraphrasing.
The yud is a pasuk in Divrei Yamim, which is Shlomo HaMelech talking. It's just recording an incident. So Shlomo HaMelech didn't speak that way.
I have another question. Chaim Tzvi, Chazal was pre Shlomo HaMelech?
Chazal is telling you. Chazal are only telling us the nature of the Oren at the time. The Chazal might have been much later, but they're telling us secrets that happened way before.
I don't think this is the original Oren. The size, this Oren seems much bigger than the Oren that Betzal built.
That's right. It was a amma by 2 amas by an amma and a half.
Right. So
do you think that Shlomo HaMelech replaced the Oren?
Well, the Oren in the Mishkan, like Reb Dovid is saying, was not that big.
That's first of all. Second of all, I'm not sure if the luchas were, the only reason that it didn't take up space is because the luchas were in there. If they were not yet in there, it would take up space.
Okay.
You mean the luchas created the magic?
That's all the box is for the luchas.
There was a Sefer Torah in there too, I think.
Yes.
And the mun.
That's a secondary.
The jar of the mun.
Right.
And Aaron's stick.
So it's brought down that the reason why we say this for a Parnasa on Shana by night, or Kippur by night, is because of this fabulous power that this had, that it helped Klal Yisrael out of one of their most stickiest moments, and it also was right before it heralded the Mechila that David HaMelech had.
It didn't help. He said it and it didn't.
It came right before. Yeah, so that's the Hirotzu we say afterwards. We also say who says the last pasuk of the David Mizmor with the Chassid? Most of us are busy saying the Hirotzu. Okay, Zok to Gemara. So what happened over here? So clearly, David HaMelech had a public mechila and it embarrassed all those who were embarrassing David HaMelech until that point. Clearly, you see the koyach of David HaMelech was able to do what the koyach of anybody here alive couldn't. On the 8th day after they made the Achnosis, the new opening up the Chanukas Abayis, Sholach es Om, he sent them home, Vivorchu es HaMelech, and they benched the king, Vayelchu lahaleim, they went home to their homes, Smeichim v'toivei leiv, al kol ha'toiva, asher osa Hashem, l'dover avdoi, ul Yisrael amoy. So the Pasuk's not going to darshan all of the wonderful things that Klal Yisrael experienced on that day. It says, Vayelchu lahaleim, they went home, Shemotun Nishasayim b'tahira. They found their wives were tar. So the first chesed that the Mishnah doesn't even mention is the wives let them go on their own. So they let them do a man's trip. They let them do a boy's trip. That was the first chesed. When they came home, they found their wives b'tahira. I'm Sashrer Gemara, why doesn't mention that? And then it says Smeichim Shenehenu mizav Shechina. They were very happy. They actually had a close encounter with the Shechina. The Toivei because that day when they came home and they were niskak to their wives, they had relations with their wives. They each had, there must have been a mass bris 9 months later. Al kol atoiva asher osa Hashem l'Dovid avdoi u'Yisrael amay shel Dovid avdoi we darshan shemocha loy al oisei oven. They were Hashem publicly announced.
That's where the shidduch started.
What are you talking about? That would have ended it. There were only boys born then. Right? Okay. And they didn't name all the children Corona. They might have named them all David. Okay. Yisrael Amoy, the Achalahu Oven Diyam HaKippurim. We know that during that Chanukas Habayis, they were Mesameach and they were allowed to eat on that Yom Kippur, and they knew that they were allowed to. They had a full kapara, meaning Hashem said, it's good what you did. Now let's look at the next pasuk that Shlomo Melech said. And the next pasuk that Shlomo said, Ki lekelev chai, hu toiv min arya meis. What's that referring to? That's referring to an unbelievable story. Now I was zoiche to sit. I'm not sure if this is mentioned anywhere else or if I learned it in Shabbos. I was zoiche to be by a blotcher of Reb Yosy Simon, and I heard him teach this Gemara. And this is what he said: Ki lekelev chai hu toiv min arya meis. Could Reb Yehuda Marav? Don't Reb Yehuda Marav. My dechsiv, hoidi ani Hashem kitzai, umidis yomai mahi, eda mechodloni. So sort of 3 times, David HaMelech is asking Hashem to tell him about the future. Amar David l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rebbeinu Shalom, hoidi ani Hashem kitzai. Tell me what my end will be. And Rashi explains, he just wanted to know what is going to occur in his future. Amar Loy, Hashem responded, Gzeir himel afanai, she'ein moediin kitzai shel basar v'dam. There's a gzeira that we don't reveal to people, not expose. We don't reveal to people their future. So then he asked, okay, don't tell me what's going to occur in my future, but at least umidis yomei mahi, at least tell me when I'm going to die, how old I'm going to be. Again, gzeri himelafonai she'ein ma'din midas yamav shalodam. Even though we all know that he got 70 years from Adam Arishan, I guess he never saw that measures. So then he said, and Rabbi Elvin spoke out that sometimes doctors want to tell people you only have X days to live. He holds also to let a doctor tell that to a person for this reason, for this Gemara. You don't tell a person how long he has left to live. And then Umidis Yami Mahi, I'm sorry, She'en Matin Kita Shabbat Shabbat. Umidis Yami Mahi, Gzeri Melfanai, Shemedin Midis Yamav Shalom. So then he asked, at least at least tell me on what day I'm going to die. Amarloi, that I can tell you. The Shabbos Thomas, you're going to die on Shabbos. So what does a Jew do when he's told the deal? He negotiates. Almost Bechem b'Shabbos. Push it off one day, Hashem. You know, give me one day. He's negotiating. Couldn't call you negotiating. Amarloi, I'm sorry, I'd love to do that for you, but Kvarhigia Malchus Shlomo Bincha. Your son's Malchus starts on Shabbos. Your Malchus may not diminish the Malchus of Shlomo Melech by even a hair. So he says, you know what? I'm happy then. I'd rather die early. I'll give him extra. Almost by Erev Shabbos. Why? So Rashi, because I don't want to be left overnight. I want to be able to be dealt with right away. So Amar Hashem said, no, I can't let you do that because you want me to give up your beautiful Torah that you learn every day. One day of the Torah that you have, me'elef from 1,000. And Rashi says, your Torah is better than 1,000 oilers. Means that I'm happy with your learning. I don't mind pushing off the Beis Hamikdash because your Torah is better for me than that. So I don't even care to rush building the Beis Hamikdash. I'm very, very happy with the status quo. And Rabbi Elvin said over an interesting story to Yeshua Belzer, who was once in a hotel in Austria, and he heard beautiful limud Torah from the next room. And he's thinking, who's sitting and learning the Koil Gadol in the next room? So he goes next door, he knocks on the door, And an Austrian army officer answers the door. And he says, well, what is this? Who are you? So he says, I'm a frum person. And when I was drafted, I was designated to be the assistant of a great officer in the Austrian army. And I begged him and I pleaded with him and I told him I will work 110% of myself all week long. Just let me have Shabbos off. And my officer was willing to do that for me. So I sit and learn all Shabbos long Bas Moder Rabba. So the Belzer told him, di halt tzrik Mashiach. You're holding back Mashiach. So me, I'm learning. Well, how am I holding back Mashiach? He says, because of this Gemara. The Rebbe loves your Torah. He doesn't want to bring Mashiach. He doesn't want to strip your Torah. If he didn't learn so much, then Hashem would have something missing. So because I want Mashiach already. So maybe you should tell Hashem, I'm not learning. I'm not davening. I'm not doing all those things. Bring us back. Bring us back. We also have a card to play. We also have a chip to negotiate. Zok the Heilige Gemara weiter.
So did the Belzer Rebbe make him feel good, or did the Belzer Rebbe make him feel bad?
I think that was a Galiciana compliment.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it was definitely a compliment because he's telling him that Reb Yosy loves your learning. That's probably what he meant. I can't imagine that he was trying to hurt him.
Yossi, I think it's the fact that David HaMelech said he was learning on Friday. Typically, Friday is a day off in the yeshiva Welt, and they're recovering from Thursday night. You learn on Friday, as Yossi says, that's the kind of bacher you're looking for your to be an native.
It's one of the questions I always ask, is does he show up to yeshiva on Friday?
Friday. So David HaMelech learning on Friday is worth that much.
I hear it. So David HaMelech now wanted to retain his life. So he's trying to avoid getting killed. Thank you. He's trying to avoid getting killed. So what happens? He decided, Kula Yoima, have a Yosef, Kol Yoimi the Shabbata, have a Yosef Agoris Kula Yoimi. He sat and learned all day. And I remember when I was sitting and listening to Abu Yosef, someone piped up. That means David HaMelech was learning Torah Shalai L'Shema. He was learning just to save his life. So he asked, would David HaMelech learn Torah Shalai L'Shema? So without skipping a beat, Abu Yosef said, Nu, was ist schlecht, wie Torah Shalai L'Shema, Bo L'Shema. So I'll never forget that. Okay, so Zok to Gemara, Hahu Yoima, it's brought down, that's why the Sudas David HaMelech is called Sudas David Malka Mashiach. Because every night, every Motzei Shabbos, David HaMelech celebrated that he survived Shabbos, because he knew every Shabbos there's a potential for him to die. So every Motzei Shabbos that he survived, he was very excited about, and that's why he made a big Sudas Malka, and that's what the Moshe Soloveitchik said. But there are others who learn that since he didn't eat a whole day, because he was learning without stopping, he was starved. So that's why he made a big Malava Malka. But Rabbi Yashiv, when he touched this Gemara, he said, Avada he ate the Sudas, and Avada he davened, he did all the mitzvahs. What it means he didn't stop learning for a second, it means any spare moment that he wasn't doing the mitzvahs of Shabbos, he was learning. And in fact, that's what he brings down from the Chavetz Chaim, that Avada he did all the mitzvahs of Shabbos. It's just that he didn't waste a second. But Avada he ate the Suda Shabbos. Anyway, so this stuff now, the Malach HaMavos has to figure out how he's going to get around this problem. The day that the Grim Reaper wanted to get David's neshama, he was clapping, he was snapping, he was trying to get David's attention, trying to distract David. Nothing was working. The law have a pasuk puma megirsa because David HaMelech did not stop for a moment. Amar, the son scratching his head. How am I going to deal with this? My evidly, how am I going to deal with this? Havalai bustana a basic. David had a nice tree out back. Also, does bustana mean a fruit tree or does bustana mean a regular tree? It's an orchard. So he had a whole bunch of fruit trees. He had fruit trees. Also, Malach HaMavos, the Malach HaMavos went. Solik, he went there. Ubochish bilana. He started shaking the trees. That created a very big distraction and a very big noise. So David went out to see what was going on. He was going down the steps into the garden. And remember, while he's doing this, he's thinking and learning. He's not being mafsik for a rega. But one of the stairs broke, and at that moment when he fell, Ishtik, he was mafsik from learning for that nanosecond. V'noch nafshe. That's how David HaMelech died. So the first shaila is, every time you hear a noise, you run out like a child to see what the noise is. What's happened is David HaMelech went out. And he brings down this kasha from I don't know who he brings it down from. So he says, David HaMelech thought that somebody was climbing a tree on Shabbos, which is an Isser. And he says he knew that he's risking his life by moving. But he felt it's worth risking his life to try to save a Yid from doing an Isser Shabbos. Now, there's a dead king in the garden. And Shlomo HaMelech knows that a guf is muksa. So how do I deal with it? Shalosh Shlomo Levei Midrasha. So Shlomo HaMelech right away sent to the Beis Medrash a message to ask a shayla. Abba Meis, my father died. Umutal b'chama, and his body is lying in the hot sun, and it's not covered for the mace. Raven. Also, the dogs that my father has are hungry because he can no longer feed them. You're allowed to feed your own dogs, but no one's going to feed them. So what should I do? Ma asked, what should I do? Sholchulei, they sent him as follows. The nevela, the dog, you have no problem feeding. A dog, no problem. You're allowed to cut up a nevela and throw meat in front of the dogs. You're allowed to do that without a question. Your father's a little bit of a bigger problem. It's more complicated. But Avich, let's just use you. Your father's a muksha, the body's a muksha. So hanach olav kikar or tinuk, put either a kikar, a cookie on him, or a bread on him, or a tinuk or a child, and then betiltla carry the gov, which is muksha, agav, the kikar that's not. So on that the Gemara says, "V'lo yafa arm shloima ki lekelev chai hu toiv min arya hames." You see how it's easier to feed a kelev chai than to deal with the King David who's nimshal to an arya hames. That's one pshat. The other pshat is, look what they answered first. He asked two shilas. They answered the shilah about the dog before they answered the shilah about David HaMelech. Imagine you ask a dying two shilas, and he's okay. We'll put your father aside. Let's worry about the dog first. So you see that there's a gewaltige koich in life that even David HaMelech as a mace did not have that koich. The Mefarshim ask, I don't understand. David HaMelech was wearing Big Day Malchus. The Big Day Malchus are not muksha. Why do they need to put a kikar on him? Why couldn't they carry out his body agav the Big Day Malchus that were on him? Zok the Mefarshim, we know nobody is allowed to wear the begodim that a king wore. It's read the Malchus. But they asked, but Shlomo HaMelech was now going to be the next king. He would be allowed to wear his father's begodim. So the Charonim bring a raya from here that David and Shlomo were not the same size. Because Shlomo HaMelech couldn't possibly have worn his father's begodim. I'm sorry, Chaim Tzvi.
Because Shlomo HaMelech at that time was only 12 years old.
There you go.
Well, David HaMelech was a short little guy. David HaMelech was a short little guy. He was a short little redhead.
Oh, okay.
Was Muktzah instituted already? I understand it came much later.
I mean, a lot of these halachas they kept even before.
I don't understand why the Sultan had to break the steps. He could have just broken the chair.
That David HaMelech was sitting on?
Yeah. Why do you have to shake a tree and bring him outside and break a step? He could have
if breaking the chair would kill him, would kill him.
No, breaking the chair
would distract him.
Which is what he did by breaking the step.
So it's possible that what I heard from Reb Elvin makes now sense. Any type of physical distraction would not have distracted David HaMelech if not for the fact that he was preoccupied with something other than learning, which was stopping somebody from doing a malacha. So it could be the physical distraction taka didn't work. The only thing that worked was the fact that he was going to try to stop somebody from doing a malacha.
So it was gradual. You have to first get him a little bit away, then more away.
That's what it seems like. It's a good point that you're asking. Okay, Zok the Gemara weiter. Well, now that I took you on a tour all around Shas and all around Nach, now Zok Rav Tanchem, did I get your attention? Now that everybody's listening, now I'm going to tell you the answer to your shaila about putting out a fire in front of a chayla. And Rashi says Kadamichoin, it was just him. But it's a lashon of an anivus. He didn't say the shaila that you asked me. The shaila that you asked us. So he answered as follows: Ner kruya ner. A lamp is called a ner. Adam kruya ner, and every human life is also a ner. The difference is the human life is a ner that the Rebbeinu Shloim lit. A candle is a fire that human lit. Mutav tich b'ner shal basar v'dam. It's better that the ner of a basar v'dam should be put out b'pnei ner shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, rather than a human life, which is the ner of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, should not be extinguished. Now, Avada, that's not the reason. The reason why you're allowed to do it is because of the Chai Bohem. But he was trying to make a point about the value and the sanctity of human life, and that's why he said this, and that's why he gave this whole drasha, because he was trying to highlight the value of human life so that people should know that there's nothing that stands in front of Pikuach Nefesh, because again, like we said earlier, he felt very guilty that people in his Kehillah weren't clear in the fact that human life has to be saved at any cost, and that's why he elaborated on it.
Where is that? What am I missing in that story about the value of human life? In other words, the line that Hashem said, one day of learning Torah?
No.
Is that the underlying story?
Hallelujah, all those things. Right? We were comparing the cheshivas of human life to non-human. Hallelujah and Toiv, a Kelev Chai, Aryemes. So there's a lot of different talk around that.
What was the question? I can't remember. What was the question you wanted to
Are
ask?
you allowed to put out a ner, if there's a candle lit near a chayla and it's bothering him, are you allowed to put it out to save the chayla's life? So he could have answered yes. Instead, he filled up a blat Gemara, a beautiful Agudah.
Wasn't that our Mishnah?
And that's why the Gemara is quoted here. Because that's how this whole thing is relevant to this plot. Listen, you had a choice between this or a blot of Tumah Tahira. Which one do you like better?
Well, so what I'm saying is that if the point of the story happened already 2 paragraphs, Mikan Lumdu, the part with the dog and the shaking of the tree is not really part of the value of the human life. It's the end of the story.
That's right. That's right. But
in
order to get to the end of the story, I guess you got to say the beginning of the story.
No, but the middle you already learned, because once you said already that it's one more day is already like learning, and like you said, he really could have finished there, right?
But Akiva, he wouldn't have gotten my attention.
Then it's worth it. That I understand.
That's what he wanted to do.
Okay, gewaltig. Amr Reb Yehuda Berei Reb Shmuel Bar Shilas, Mishmei Derav. Bikshu Chachamim Lignai Sefer Kehelas. There was a point in time where the Chachamim wanted a high Sefer Kehelas. There are places in Kehelas that are contradictory, which the Gemara is going to talk about a little later. Why Taka didn't they hide it?
Bowman knows Gemara.
He breathes a sigh of relief every time he reads this Gemara.
Okay.
If they should since the beginning is Divrei Torah and the end is Divrei Torah. Can you imagine if they only retained the beginning and the end? How fast it would go on Chalamoid? Anyway, so where is the Divrei Torah? Let's focus on the good first. What good does it help anybody when they're working so hard on this world, on Parnasa, on things under the sun? It's only my Yisrael, we're only ridiculing and questioning the value of hard work and being oisik and Parnasa, tachas HaShemesh, shu de'ein loi. But kodim Shemesh, yesh loi. Meaning, what's before the Shemesh? What was created before the Shemesh? The Torah. Being Amol in Torah, that the more you're Amol, the better it is. Melacha, on the other hand, Parnasa, you have to do what you need to do for Shabbos, but there's no benefit in the Chazon Shir of it. Soifer Divrei Torah, the Chsiv Soif Davar Hakol Nishma. At the end, everything gets heard. As like him Yorei, Ves Mitzvos of Shemar, Kizek Kol Adam. If you have Yer Shemayim and you listen to Hashem's mitzvahs, that's the whole person. So Pashup Pshat is that's the whole purpose of a person. But the Gemara Darshan said a little bit. My Kizek Kol Adam, Amar Belazar, Kol Olam Kuloi, Loi Nivra El B'Shvil Zeh. Somebody who learns Torah and who does mitzvahs and is a Yorei Shemayim, the whole world was created on his behalf. Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana Omar, a little different twist. Shokol Zeh Keneged Kol Olam. He is weighed against the whole world. Keneged Kol Olam Kuloi. Rabbi Shimon ben Azai, Omer, Varmila Shimon ben Zoyma Omar, the Nivra Kol Olam Kuloi El Tzavish Zeh. The whole world was just created to accompany, to provide him with company. The Art Scroll brings down from the Maral that these three things are three different concepts. So when the first time when Rabbi Lozer said Kol Adam Kuloi Neliver El B'Shvil Zeh, what he means is that the Rebbeinu Shalom created the world. The Rebbeinu created the world for the purposes of us doing the Torah and mitzvahs. So it makes sense that the whole world was created for him because he is the one that's doing and fulfilling the purpose of what the world was created for, and therefore everybody else should be serving him because he's actually the one that's upholding the world. The second shot that was said was Shokol Zeh Keneged Kol Adam Kuloi, and it's similar to that. A person who's always following the Torah and mitzvahs and adhering to it strictly, he's quite different from the masses of the world because most people don't live their life guided by the Torah. So that's what it means. He's Shabbat to the whole world because he is his own world. They're one world going one way, and he represents a whole other world going the other way because he is acting differently than they are. And the last member from Reb Shimon ben Zayma or from Shimon ben Azai that the whole world was only made to accompany him. The article again brings down from the morale that this person, he is the one who is actually doing what he's supposed to be doing, and therefore everybody should accompany him to learn from his maisim, and that they should also follow the Torah, follow the mitzvahs, and listen to their Rebbeinu Shalom.
Jesse, is this is Gemara? This is the stuff that they wanted. That they said was good. The beginning. This is
why they determined that we should keep else and try to figure out the problems instead of just throwing away the baby with the bathwater.
We had the Gemara before that he hid in the attic, right, or somewhere someone hid in the attic.
That was Mishlei. That was Mishlei. Which sefer was that? That wasn't Kehelis.
No, that was Kehelis.
Kehelis also.
Yeah, they wanted the nigmas, and he answered all the. Who was it?
That was also Kehelis.
No, it was Yecheskel.
That was Yecheskel.
Yecheskel. Okay.
They had a lot of problems with the Navi. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. They didn't go to Bishakov High School, so they don't know Navi. They had to have it at Derech. They didn't go to seminary. So now what are the difficulties? It's better to be angry than to party. And then it says, then I said that schoik is to be praised. So that's one theory right there. Then it says, Shibachti aniyas simcha. I praised simcha. Uksiv ula simcha maza. And then another pasuk he wrote, what is simcha? So is simcha good or simcha bad? So after analyzing it, they came up with the fact that maybe these are not contradictory at all. Loy kasher. Toiv kas mischoik. That means toiv kas shekoyesh hakadosh baruch hu al tzadikim b'olam hazeh. The kas that the Rebbeinu Shalom kivayachol has against the tzadikim b'olam hazeh, which means to be medaktu with them kachut asayra and punish them on this world for any slight of errors they might have, so that when it comes to Gan Eden, it should be smooth sailing for them. That's greater. That's greater than all of the partying and fun and excitement and yachts and planes and luxuries that the goyim have in Olam Hazeh, because Hashem gives that to them to deplete their schuyos so that they can go straight to Gehenna in the next world. Mahal, right? That's the earlier pasuk that he quoted over here. Let me listen. I said that schoik partying is good. How could that be good? We just said partying is bad. After Hashem is medaktik with tzadikim b'chuchot asari and Olam Hazeh, when they come to Olam Haba, that's when the party starts, and that's when all the action is, and that's what is muhul. That's what's to be praised. V'shibachti anis simcha. That's simcha shel mitzvah. A simcha shel mitzvah, that a mishabeach. Ula simcha maza oisa, zu simcha she'enis shel mitzvah. That's done when you're partying and it's not for a mitzvah. Lalam b'chat to teach you, she'en shchina shoyra loy mitech atzvos. Shchina, it does not rest upon people when they're sad. V'loy mitech atzvos, and not when they're lazy. V'loy mitech schoik, and not when they're partying. V'loy mitech kalas roish, and not when they're lightheaded. V'loy mitech sicha, and not when they're stam schmoozing. V'loy mitech dvar metelim, and not through dvar metelim. Ela mitech dvar simcha shel mitzvah. It comes through simcha of mitzvah. Shenemar, Elisha Hanavi said this. He wanted to prompt himself to receive nevuah, and he knows that you cannot get that unless you're besimcha. So he said, "V'ata k'chuli menagin." This is a song, a famous song. "V'ata k'chuli menagin." Let me hire a musician. V'aya kenagin hamenagin. When the musician will play and will lift my spirits with the olav Yad Hashem, then I will have the Yad Hashem. I will be zoichet to nevuah. Omer Reb Yehuda v'chein l'dvar halacha, and hu adin l'dvar halacha also simcha. Simcha makes you happy, and Rashi says when you start learning Gemara, you always have to start off learning Gemara with a joke. This is my favorite Gemara. If you want to have good dreams, you should think about good things before you go to bed. So Gemara, Aini, is that so? Any Talmid Chacham who's sitting in front of his Rebbe and his lips aren't bitter from fear, he should be burnt. Shenemar sifsoisav shoshanim noitfusmor. Now, Pasuk Pshat in this pasuk is that his lips, the lips of a Talmid Chacham, are like roses, and they're dripping myrrh, which is a sweet syrup. But noitfusmor over. So we dash from this pasuk differently. Altrikri mor over elamar over. It will be bitter for him. Altrikri shoshanim ela shoshonim. So sifsoisav shoshonim, the lips of those who are learning Torah by their Rebbe, should be noitvois mar over. They should be dripping bitterness. In other words, they should be sitting in fear. So is there supposed to be a joke before you start learning, or is there not supposed to be a joke before you start learning? So the Rebbe is supposed to make a joke before he starts learning, and then he gets serious. But the Talmud should always be serious. They're both speaking about the Rebbe. Before he starts learning, he should start off with a good joke. But once he starts learning, he should not be interrupting his learning with a good joke, even if it's negated to the Gemara. He heard the Rabbah.
That's a big oops.
I'm trying to learn it quickly. Please don't stop me.
We don't hold like that, Mandi Amara.
Apparently.
Or I feel we should have when you start something with a frischkeit, it gets more geschmack. So every so often I stop and then we start again. So before we start again, we can make a joke. He heard the Rabbah. Before he would start, Omar Milsa de Bechusa. He would say a joke. I would say one of the jokes he made was that he's a Beinani. Wouldn't you say? I think everyone would agree that would be a joke. Where's Akiva when we need him? Oh, Akiva's not here. Oh, right? Rabbi said I'm a Beinani. That was probably the joke. And he probably said, guys, I'm a Beinani. Everyone started laughing. Now let's start learning. Zok the Gemara. I'm sorry. Ubotchi Rabban Amri Kad Rabbi Mekame the Pasach Lulu Rabbanon. Before he started learning, Amar Milsa de Bechusa. Ubotchi Rabban, and the Olim would laugh. That means he didn't just say a corny joke. He said a good joke because the Olim laughed. That's important. Stop saying a corny joke is good and shver.
The other day you told us about a mercy laugh.
Yeah, but not. I don't know if does Botchi Rabban mean a mercy laugh. It could be. L'soif Yosef be'emsa, but then of course everyone sat in front of Rabbah with fear. Upasach b'shmaita, and then he started learning. So we just discussed Sefer Kehelos had some problems which they resolved. Zok Gemara now Vav Sefer Mishlei Bikshul Lignos. They also had a problem with Mishlei. Show you Dvar Soisim Zeseh, and with Nemal Ganzu Amri they said Sefer Kehelos La Vaininon Vashkechin Taima. By Sefer Kehelos we were also ready to throw it out, but after further analysis we realized that it was us who didn't understand. So maybe Mishlei is also pretty good, and we just need to work on it better to understand it. Hakanami Laininon Le'ainon, and we'll analyze it. So my Dvar Soisim Zeseh, exactly what were the contradictions found in Mishlei? Ksiv Altan Ksil Kivaltoy. Don't answer Anar when he asks a stupid question. And it's important, the article speaks out to see the end of the pasuk. Altan Ksil Kivaltoy. Don't answer the Nar with a shtis. Pentish Veloy Gamata. Because if you get into his arena, they say the only one who's more foolish than the fool is the person who argues with him. But then it says, Uksiv Onak Ksil Kivaltoy. You should answer the Ksil. And again, you have to look at the end of the pasuk. Onak Ksil Kivaltoy Pen Yeh Chacham Beinav. Because if you don't answer him, he's going to think that he was right. Hey, and he didn't even have to answer me. So you have to cut him down. Zok to Gemara Loy Kasha. These two seemingly contradictory comments are not shver at all. Haber Divrei Torah. If someone's making a mistake in Divrei Torah, even if the guy's a nar and asking a stupid question, it's important that you answer and you defend the words of the Torah. Habamil de Alma, if he's done asking you general questions and he says something stupid, don't even bother with him. And he speaks out here in the Art Scroll, and that goes into the pasuk. If he's tam haking you shtusim, the reason why you shouldn't answer him back is because then you're going to lower yourself to his level and stay away. But if it comes to Torah, you have to correct it because he shouldn't think he's smarter than the Torah. Kiha, now we're going to have good stories of nudniks that ask stupid questions. Kiha da Agudah also the kamei de Rebbe. You know, people advertise. There are lawyers who advertise on 680 News. Waxman. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We're soon going to see in the Gemara that lawyers maybe don't get asked stupid questions, but Rabbanim get asked a lot of stupid questions.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, but only if it's not a stupid question.
Careful now.
Oh, that was a joke.
Okay. Kihad Agudah also, like I made the Rebbe. Omerla, he said, Ishtacha Ishti. You know your wife? I slept with her. She's my wife. So he was suggesting that he was Mazana with Rebbe's wife. And because of that, you think those are your children? They're mamzerim. They're my children. Omer lei. So Rebbe didn't engage him and say, it's not true, it's not true. Because had he did, people would have not known who the side like. You see, always see these stories on the internet when there are accusations made. We don't know if they're true or not. So he said, my dear friend, you know what? Come, once you're here already, come in, sit down, and let's have a drink of wine. Maybe you want a drink of wine. She said, sure, wine, why not? Shasai drank, upaka, and he burst and he blew up. I don't know what this wine was made out of, and I don't know if it's Rebbe who made this happen. It seems from the Art Scroll that the Rebbeinu Shalom was ma'anish this guy for trying to be moitzi laz on the children of Rebbe. Who does look coming to Rebbe? Who does coming to Rebbe Chia? Amala, he said, Imcha ishti, your mother is my wife. Meaning you yourself are a mamzer, because your mother was mazana with me. Amala, he said the same thing. He didn't engage him and argue with him. He just said, Shasa, he drank it to Paka and he died. Don't try this at home. Amar Reb Chia said, Rebbe's tefillas, and we're going to soon discuss what Rebbe's tefillas were, but his tefillas helped him, since he davened for his children, that they shouldn't be maligned as being mamzerim, since he davened for that, the Rebbeinu Shalom saved him by killing this horrible person who was making such terrible allegations. Where do you see that Rebbe davened? And the good thing is we do the same thing. The Rebbe Kavamatli Amar, Yiratim Lefonecha Hashem Alekeinu, Shetatzilenu Hayoim, Me'azei Panim, U'me'azus Panim. So Rashi says, Azei Panim are from nasty people, but Azus Panim, meaning, Shelo Yetze Alai She Mamzeres to As Panim. A mamzer is an As Panim. Save me from being an As Panim, meaning save me from being accused of being a mamzer that is referred to as an As Panim. And since he davened that way every day, he was zoiched that Hashem came to the rescue, and when this horrible person wanted to malign him and his family, they were eliminated. B'divrei Torah mai, where do you find that when it comes to Divrei Torah, you do have to get down in the trenches with the fools and argue with them? Eventually, women are going to give birth every day. Shenamar, it says, Hara v'yoldas yachdav. Now, this pasuk is talking, it's a pasuk, I believe, in Yirmiyah, where it's talking about eventually when Mashiach comes, everyone's going to gather together. Either upisayach, hara v'yoledas yachdav. So, pasuk pshat is, all different walks of life are going to show up, even pregnant women and women who just give birth. But Rabbi Gamliel was trying to darshan that women will have children every day. Women will be able to have children every day. Liglig of all of us a Talmud. A Talmud laughed at him. Amar, we know there's a pasuk that says Ein kol chodesh tachas hashemesh. So now this is an attack on Torah. Amar lei, he said, you know what? Don't think it's so far fetched. Come with me. I'll show you in Olam Hazeh where things grow fast. Nafak achvele tanagolas. She showed him a chicken. A chicken can lay an egg every single day. So you see, it's possible to always have something in the oven ready to come out. So you see, it's not so far-fetched. trees are also going to give out fruits every day. Shenemar v'nosa onof v'asa pri. It will grow branches and it will make pears. Again, that's not the literal translation. It was how Rabbi Gamliel was trying to darshan and show that this parnasa is going to be easy. Ma'anof b'chol yoyim, af pri b'chol yoyim. Again, legally of all ways of Talmud, Avos Haksta up with your nonsense, with your fantasies. Omar, no such thing has ever occurred. Amalai says, you know what? You don't learn your science well. I'm going to show you similar to this type of concept that it's already occurring right now. Novak Achvalit Tzlaf. He showed him a tzlaf, which is, I think it says a caperberry bush. He says that tzlaf is I believe he says it's a caperberry bush, and there's three different parts of the bush, a caper bush. There's three different parts of the bush he brings down here that people eat. Rashi says it as well, of course. It comes from Rashi. There's shoots, there's flowers, and there's the fruit. And so every day there's something that you can get from the tree. So it's ka'en. What we're saying is that a tree will produce something that we can enjoy every single day. Eretz Yisrael is going to produce delicious breads and delicious silk begadim. Shenamar, it says he pisas bar ba'aretz. Now all it means when it says he pisas bar ba'aretz means food will be plentiful. That's all it means. It means parnasa will be very available. And Reb Gamliel was trying to, but Derech Moshe say it's going to be almost like there's bread growing on the trees. He didn't actually mean literally. He meant to say how parnasa will be so easy and readily available. But again, I'll show you how from the earth grows out, ready to go, ready to ship beautiful things to eat, and ready to ship beautiful clothing. Kamenu mushrooms and patrios are truffles. Truffles actually grow like mushrooms under the ground, and they're ready to go. So you see, even nowadays, there are certain things that grow ready to be eaten. And the and to demonstrate that there's beautiful clothing available, Nivra Bar Koira, he showed him in a decal tree, in a palm tree, when it grows, there's some soft fabric. We learned about it regarding the wicks, and that's like a ready-to-go fabric almost. So he's trying to show you, see already now, there's such a concept of ready-to-go stuff. Should we learn a little weiter so that we can start making up for Pesach?
I didn't daven yet. I'm embarrassed to say. I gotta go.
Okay.
It's up to you, Chavre, if everybody else wants to.
Mati, you're in Gatalis, so you must be post-davening.
I'm in between.
In between. Okay, so we're all in the middle of davening. Okay, so should we stop here? Akiva, what do you say? You're mute.
What time do we start tomorrow?
You tell me. What time should we start tomorrow?
It's a little earlier. It's probably around 7 to 7. So we could start again 7:20. Because I saw people still have talis and tefillin on by davening. If they want to daven nates, might as well give them a chance to finish. So we'll keep it at 7:20.
Okay, so mention 7:20 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if we can move fast, then we'll try to catch up. You know,
I'll try to push fast. No jokes. Okay. No mills b'dechus in the middle. No mills b'dechus in the middle.
How about this? If we move fast, we can do some jokes at the end.
Okay. When are you learning with Marvin tomorrow? 9 o'clock? No, there's a SIEM tomorrow. No, SIEM's on Tuesday.
I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to get to work a little earlier, so I'll probably want to learn with him as soon as we're done, maybe 8:30.
Okay, so that means we can add extra time.
No, we could add. This is my primary job. This is my full time. So okay. We'll learn. We'll learn as long as the Oilam wants to, and then when I'm done, I'll learn him.
Okay, I just wanted to two things. I could lend in a SIEM if you'd like, but Victor, I saw an AMI article from last week. They have a forum on halacha l'maisa, and the shaila that came up in front of the Beis Din was about seminaries getting money back from the seminaries, and the psak was clear that the seminaries are obligated to give money back. in this
What,
scenario.
that was in Ami last week?
Yes, yes. I have the article. I can send you.
Yeah, I heard the seminaries don't let their girls read on me.
I'll have to take a look. I have Ami from last week. I didn't see it. It was in the
Based in.
files?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Did you see this week's?
No, I usually read the weekend.
Okay. Brandsdorfer was asked a bunch of shilas. He was the cover story on COVID trials. Very interesting.
I'm going to sign off. I just want to thank everybody.
Yes.
I more than ever appreciate our wonderful cover. It really saves me from being depressed and isolated. The fact that we're together, it gives me such a chizuk. I hope everybody else feels the same way. I just want to thank everybody for being my lifeline.
Okay, have a good day.
Shkoyach Yossi.
Oh, and I
Akiva.
forgot to say, Samachti b'ayimim beis Hashem Melech. Shmuel, Shmuel left already, but Shmuel always tells us now we are really excited to go back. When we get out of this, we should be better than before, stronger than before, richer than before, healthier than before, and better than before in every which way.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
Akiva, do you get mishpacha too?
No.
Oh my gosh, great story. Football story.
Okay, you'll have to send me a copy or photocopy it if you can and email it to me.
Sorry, I gotta. Yeah, well, I'll try.
Okay, I'll try to get it online. All right. B'yoyim ha'shtei asar yonos ilibnei yosher pagil ben achron korbanoi karas kesef achas 30 yom mishkalo mizor kechod kesef 70 shekel b'shekel hakodesh shnehem milayim so ilas b'lov Hashem l'mincho akap achas asar ozom leiktor ispar echod ben bakora ilechod kevas echod ben shasoi loilo sirzim echod lechatos ulzevach hashlomi bakor shnai milim chamisho atudim chamisho kvasim neshana chamisho ze korban pagil ben achron yirotzom ben echad inoi lahev b'leyav isai Shadar Ayom Bechas Chagadol and shows in Kaddish and Mischadish Kitzipor Mitzapzim Mishapchim Tzal in Aloha Kaddish Yisrael Ben Shalom Tachlish Zayil Hanach Tzipori Kaddish Lasa Kaddish Yismar Allah Ein Loi Rosa Elim Zulasako Yotzum Rechad Yinoi Lai B'Lei Versai Sheboim Ani Abdecha Yishevet Osher Shekaras V'Secha Barsha Shalom Nasi Hayoim Az Ayoyer No Alai Kol Nitzusi Kaddishim Chol Oris HaKadosh HaSakulus Mikush HaZeh Hashevet Lavin Ulhask V'Secha V'Yersecha Lasa Yisrael Kol Yimei Chai Ani V'Zari V'Zer Zari Ma'atam Adolam Amen. For those who came on a little bit later, Mendel Kaplan was on here. So we're turning this into Sesame Street. You'll never know who tomorrow's guest might be. So it pays to
Akiva, I want you to know when I got on, I
Yeah.
was so relieved because I was so upset that I missed you. And I said, oh, it was only Mendel. So I felt so much better.
He didn't. He came on in the middle. Actually, Manny Canner came on. And even if nobody's there, I'm going to give Sheer, Yossi. What are you going to tell me? If nobody shows up, you're not going to give Sheer?
Of course.
Of course.
All I have to do is close my eyes and I can imagine anybody I want.
Right.
Akiva.
So what
Yes.
time tomorrow? What time are you giving shiur tomorrow?
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
6
6
a.m.
a.m.
Tanya.
6 a.m. Tanya. So maybe it's
6
6:10 or even 6:05 if you want. 6:05 to 6:25.
All right.
All right.
It's a shame.
No need to feel guilty.
Okay, have a wonderful day.
Okay. It's a shame.
All right.
Tune in tonight. Chaim Weinberger's on. All the question you've ever asked,
7:45?
wanted to ask Hatzolah and were afraid to ask.
Are you going to
7:45?
send out a special invite?
Yes.
Okay,
It's a
perfect.
shame. I'm sure the
All
Rav wants it, and the Rav is going to want to come on. He came on last time. The Rav is on there. We'll say Tehillim.
Wait.
Rabbi Philip will say Dvar Halacha.
Akiva, we need the extra line tonight,
I wanted to do it just for practice.
just for practice.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all. Okay.
Okay.
Unlikely, but just for practice.
Okay.
Why don't we cover like a guy like Itche with the capital Tillim, like with Shir Malas?
If the Rav, because if the Rav comes on, I'd like to give it to the Rav. Yeah, if he comes on. If the Rav's not on, then we could be mechabed somebody else. He won't
Thank
do
you
it.
so much.
Thank you. Tracy.
Akiva,
Yeah.
you mentioned, I think it was last night, and I think it was a good idea. Kind of bring us back to our roots of where we started Vesikin, I don't know how many years ago. Was taking something from the Parsha with that